Okay, guys, you know what to do. It's time to dance.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal. And it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening and viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, I am really excited because it's been about a year. And this is something that I told Dondi today. It's been almost exactly a year since you've been in the classroom, or she's been in the classroom. And every time she comes on, oh, what's going on here? And every time she comes on, everybody is excited to learn about the 5 elements. You know, Dondi is a speaker, a dancer, an energy healer, and an author of the 5 elements. And we're giving away one book today. And you know what to do. You text or call me at 407-373-5959. Get your name in the winner's basket. And then next week on Friday, we will pull out one name and we'll send that to Dondi and she will send that to you. But the elements that we're talking about, the 5 elements, is a 2,000-year-old system that is similar to Meyers-Briggs that provides information that can be used to help you with relationships, with your career, hiring. I mean, it is something that the system can allow everybody to benefit something. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Dondi Dahlin is here to do just that. Welcome, Dondi, to the classroom. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm great, and I'm so happy to be with you again. I love your show, and I hope people continue to chime into your show because it's so meaningful. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. So I know that there's so much. If I were to think about the first time I heard of the 5 elements, it was foreign. But now every time I think about the 5 elements, I only think of you. I've never met anybody else that is an expert on the 5 elements as you are. So share a little bit about your background and what led you to this, and what have you been able to take advantage of when it comes to the 5 elements?
Oh my gosh. All right. So my background, well, I have a lot of backgrounds. I was in showbiz. I traveled the world as a dancer. However, while I was leading my life through college and different careers, I was always using natural medicine because I was raised in natural medicine. My mom is Donna Eden. She's a renowned healer, and she was teaching me from a very young age different energy systems in the body. And one of the energy systems that we study in her work is called the 5 elements. Now, the 5 elements, she sees it as a true rhythm in the body, that everybody has this signature rhythm that they're kind of born into. And the rhythms are water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. And we'll talk all about that over the next hour. So she saw these, as she did energy systems in the body since she was born. She's always been able to see energies, to see chakras and meridians and radiant circuits. And probably it was in her 30s, I think, when she started studying a modality called Touch for Health, which is based in Chinese medicine. And they had a language for everything she saw. They called this beautiful encasing around the body the aura, and they called the spiraling discs the chakras, and they called the meridian lines meridians. So she saw them as lines on the body, and then she had a word for them. And these vibrations that she always saw in people, these 5 distinct vibrations that would sort of govern not only their personality, but their way of being in the world, also their health susceptibilities and health challenges. They gave her a word for that too, a term, and it was the 5 elements. So she learned that the 5 elements had been studied. They were from China, and they were over 2,000 years old. And so it's an incredible system that's very ancient, but it's fabulous because you can apply it to modern times, to your relationships, to your work, to your personal life, to how you relate to your kids and how your kids relate to you. Once you figure out what element a person is, it opens up a whole new world for you. You're not only able to sort of predict how that person is going to perceive life and be with you throughout life and in conflict or in fun, but it gives you this sort of blueprint for your own life. And I want to say, Lillian, right away, because I know I'm speaking all about the 5 elements and water, wood, fire, earth, and metal and these categories. I think the first thing that goes through a lot of people's minds is, it's a system where I'm going to be boxed in. I'm going to be categorized.
Correct.
She's going to tell me who I am, and only I know who I am. So I want to say this, it does the opposite. When you know how a person was born into this life with a certain vibration and how they perceive the world, that opens up your compassion for them. That opens up your ability to understand other people. So instead of saying something like, oh, I can't believe she said what she said to me. Now, when you know the elements, you're saying things like, oh, I get it. She's a metal element. I can totally see why she said that to me. I'm not metal. I wouldn't say that, but I understand why she does. So it actually opens up your thinking, your understanding. And as I said, your compassion for people, which is what we need in the world right now. We need compassion for others, no matter how we live, no matter how we see things. Every person sees things differently. And I can say that, and it's sort of a no-brainer, but when you sink into the 5 elements, you really get, oh yeah, people aren't seeing life like I do. Everyone sees it differently. And if I can truly step into their shoes, then I can have a better life, get along with people better, have more ease, have more joy, have more happiness. It's all in the 5 elements.
You know, it's a lot to take in. It really is a lot to take in. And that's why I love having you coming back time and time again, because I want this to stay in the front of most people's, brains. And so when you're talking about the water, metal, wood, and fire, and all these different elements, somebody who's listening to it for the first time would probably go, well, how do I know who I am? And is there a preference and then maybe a backup preference? How do you know how to identify? And then when you start learning about this particular element and go, wow, I resonate, but I kind of resonate with this one too. And I resonate with this one too. How does that all work?
Yes, great questions. So right off the bat, I will let all the viewers know that you have all 5 elements within you, and they're going to come out at different times. Maybe it's a phase in life. Maybe it's something you're going through in work. Maybe you're a little bit stressed out right now, so a different element is coming forward during that stress. However, you have a strong element inside you that we call your primary element. And you can figure out your primary element. Well, I'll give you a whole bunch of clues to figure it out. But also, you know your primary element because it's the one you default to the most. It's the one you go to under stress. It's the one that bubbles up above the others. And you can tell your element from many, many ways. Your face shape, your body shape, the way you walk, the way you move, the way you speak, the tone of your voice, how you react to somebody in conflict. That's a big one. When I see people react in conflict, so to people arguing, stress at work, a group fighting, when I see how people react to that, that usually tells me their primary element. So there are many different ways, Lillian. I'm super happy to go through each of the elements so people can start to understand this without simply the metaphors of water, wood, fire, earth, and metal.
Yes, I would love for you to do that. But I have a question before that.
Yeah.
With the different elements that we all have, you said that we have a primary element. And as we go forward and looking at what we are and where we identify most, you say that this is our default when we're stressful. Is there a default when we are in our essence? Is there a default when we are joyful? Do they change at that time?
I would say the default when somebody is doing really well and joyful and healthy, the default is that their elements start to balance and all 5 come into play.
Got it.
And they can access all 5 with ease, and they aren't so stressed out. You know, when you're so stressed out, or you're ill, or you're sick, or your thinking is compromised because you have foggy brain, your vision goes whoo, and you simply can't see as well, you can't hear as well, your senses shut down, and you start seeing through that one primary element. So when you're doing well, the elements can dance together.
I love that. That is wonderful. That's a great sign. You know, when it comes to, you know, we always say that when we're in our ego, we know we're in our ego when we're like not feeling ourselves or at a, you know, just feeling sick or angry, or you know you're in your ego and you want to be right and control, looking good and comfortable. But I know that. But when you're in your element, whatever that element is, to know that you're all of those, because I remember taking a test with you. I don't know if that's still available on your website.
Yes,
right? Is it still available? Okay, great.
Yes.
I'll post it on the link so that people can go to
Okay.
your website and take the test.
Okay.
But I remember going through it. And of course I was going through it through a peaceful time. And I'm like, I can relate to this. I can relate to this. I can relate to this. So that makes sense, because I think I even said to you, what if we're all 5? You said, yeah, of course you're all 5. So let's go into the elements. Let's talk about which one's your first one that you like to talk about?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to talk about water first, and I'm talking about water first because the way my mom raised me in the 5 elements is really that waters, in terms of a personality, they're the beginners, and waters, an archetype for them is the little baby. They're starting out. The water person is curious. The water person is hopeful. The water person is coming into this new, refreshing way to look at life. So we have different archetypes for the elements. Water element actually has 2, the little hopeful, curious baby, and also the philosopher. So waters can be very deep people, like philosophers, very deep thinkers. And when you think about a water type, and now whether this is you or you're thinking of a friend or a loved one, it's that person who vibes a little bit slower in life. They go with the flow. They aren't urgent. They aren't rushing to get somewhere. They aren't going for their goals and moving forward like the next element is, which I'll talk about in a second. They are really feeling in to life, to the present situation. Waters are intuitive. They're big feelers. They're big thinkers. And I'm going to give challenges for each of the elements. One of the challenges is because waters are very, very deep, they're always thinking, they're always ruminating, they can go to a place of darkness. They can get depressed. Probably more than any other element, they can go into that place of futility. So every element has a governing emotion. For waters, it is either fear or futility. And when I say emotion, I mean stress emotion. I mean, when they're stressed out, this is where they go. For waters, it's fear or futility. And for some people, maybe you haven't heard the word futility as much. It's that feeling of feeling sort of hopeless and helpless. So every element has governing organs as well. All right, so I'm going to throw more at you. It's not only a personality system, it's a health system. And so when you know what, yeah, it is. It's so amazing. And if you went to a doctor of Chinese medicine, they would try to figure out your element. They'd hold your pulse. They'd look at the way your face is shaped. They'd listen to you talk. And then they would look to your two governing organs, or four. With one of the elements, they have four governing organs. For water, it's the bladder and the kidneys. So what does this mean? This means that the bladder and the kidneys probably have some power in your life. It doesn't mean you're going to necessarily have problems with your bladder or your kidneys, but you look to those organs to see where are your challenges. And oftentimes, a water does have challenges with those organs. So,
excusing the pun,
yes.
I mean, water, bladder, kidney, urine. I mean,
exactly.
Is that because that's where they hold their anger or their energy, their negative energy, or energy? Let me just rephrase that. Energy that they refuse to release?
Ah, that's such a good question. It can absolutely mean that. It can mean that, yes. And so working with the bladder and the kidneys, whether people are doing techniques or taking herbs or simply sending healing energy to those places, it's a really, really good thing to do. You want to use preventative techniques so you don't have any issues with those organs. And so they work for you and they can be strong for you. So another way you can figure out a water person is they usually have a very round face. I'm water and wood. I'll say that right out because when you look at me, you can see a lot of water in the way I look. I have kind of chubby cheeks, round face. I've never been really svelte. Svelte is not a water type. A water type is a little bit rounder. They probably have a little belly. They might be a little pudgy. Now, I also have wood very, very strong, and that's our next element. Sometimes you will have two elements that are quite strong, maybe close to being equal. I go back and forth between wood and water, but you'll have the physical attributes of one. So Lillian, I'll let you know that when people meet me and I'm in my wood mode, it's pretty fierce. I'm not in wood mode right now.
Hey, wood gets things done. Wood gets things
Wood
done.
gets things done.
Water just flows and maybe it might
Yes.
take a little bit longer, but you need your wood.
Yes, you do. You do. I love wood. But people who know the five elements will say, wow, you're so woody, but you don't look like a wood. And no, I look like a water. And then my third element is earth. And I have a little bit of an earth body too. Earths usually have bigger breasts, bigger hips. They're also a little bit more hourglass shape, which I am. So we've gone over the face shape, the body shape for the water, the emotion, and the organs. Let's move on to wood. I'll go through anything. I'll go through all the five elements, and then if I leave something out, Lillian, you can grab me and
I
tell.
have a chart. I have a chart. So
good.
I'm following along.
Okay. So wood is sort of the opposite of water. The wood person is the go-getter. They see the goal. They know how to get there. They know how to solve problems. They want to solve problems. They're fixing things as they go through their day, through their life. They're getting a little agitated with the issues. They're wondering why no one else is agitated. And they're usually fairly outspoken about it. So woods can come off as a little scary. They don't think they're scary. They think they're speaking up. They think, come on, everybody, this is an issue. They're great activists. Woods are usually the ones out in the streets with the signs marching, and they're saying, this is not right. We need to change this. That's a wood element, and they get a lot done, and they're very, very efficient. Their emotion that they default to under stress is anger. It doesn't mean they walk around all the time as angry people, but they do get mad about things. Don't personalize it. It's a wood thing. And just remember, it's a wood thing. Their governing organs are the gallbladder and the liver. So you want to take care of your gallbladder and your liver. I always say that for most woods, cleanses are awesome because the liver needs to be cleansed. And so really nurturing that liver that does, oh my gosh, over 500 functions. Okay, so the emotion is anger, the governing organs are gallbladder and liver. The body shape is usually quite square and stocky. Woods are often a little bit shorter. Their faces are also square. They usually have jawlines that come out, heavy eyebrows. They look a little bit like wrestlers, a little bit, fierce and strong and bold, and they usually march along. Waters, which we just did, are usually dragging their feet, shuffling along slowly. Woods are marching to their next destination. Okay, what did I leave out for woods? I'll move on to fire, unless did I leave something out?
Well, I mean, there's something about their sense organs. Like you said, they were intuitive, like you were talking about water. People are intuitive. Is there an intuitive side to wood?
Yes, woods are very intuitive. And actually, a lot of people say about woods, I think they're psychic. I think they're really psychic. You hear this a lot. And woods, they're very funny. We're very funny as woods because we're so logical and pragmatic. They'll say, well, okay, maybe I'm psychic, but I'm just really smart. Like I just look at all the evidence and I figure it out. That might not be psychic ability.
Everybody could be a wood.
Everyone could be a wood. Like, use your brain, people. This is the type of talk you'll hear from wood elements. They aren't very, I'll tell you this, Lillian, their challenge, they do have some challenges with people. They tend to get a little bit judgmental sometimes, and it's because they're so efficient and because they are smart, they are intelligent. So if somebody is taking a vacation and relaxing, Woods could be judgmental around that. Oh, they're being lazy. Oh, they aren't on the ball. Oh, they aren't working hard. Oh, they didn't get that done. I did.
Oh.
I got it done.
That's funny. That's funny. I'm telling you, I got a little bit of everything in me. Okay. So what's next in your bag of goodies?
All right. So fire is next, and fire is so wonderful. Everybody wants a fire around. They're very happy. They're very joyful. They often get questioned, are you really that happy? Are you really that joyful? And they really are. Fires are lit from the inside. They have this light that guides them through life. They love joy. They love pleasure. You often find them in joyful situations because they are drawn to that. They follow the joy and they follow the pleasure. So when you're listening to me say this, you could kind of predict what some of their challenges are. If things are boring and not going so well, they're escape artists. They're going to move on. It doesn't bode well all the time for commitment. That's a challenge for them, because if something is a drag, they lose their commitment to it. They lose their verve. They fires. And this is, okay, I'm going to go back to the beginning when we started the show a few minutes ago. And I said, it opens up your understanding. 5 elements opens up your understanding. When you understand that a fire type must have something that makes them feel good and feel happy, then that is so useful for all of your interactions with them. Because now if you have to go to a fire and present something difficult to them, you're going to do it in a beautiful situation. Take them down to the beach, get some great food, walk with them by the shore, and then tell them the difficult thing.
Oh, so I need to beware if you invite me to the beach someday, right? Okay, I hear you. Let me write this down.
Their governing organs, they get 4. They're the only element who gets 4. They have the heart, the pericardium, which protects the heart, the triple warmer, which I'll talk about in a minute, and the small intestine. So let me go back to the triple warmer. The triple warmer, if viewers have not heard of it, it's an energy system in the body, and it governs fight and flight. And so the emotion that the fire person goes through under stress is panic. So that is your quintessential fight or flight. And believe me, they're going to flee. They will take flight. They panic under stress. My mom, Donna Eden, many people know her. She's a very strong fire. She's a fire earth. And oh my goodness, her panic goes through the roof when something negative or stressful or difficult is happening. She doesn't know her panic is going through the roof. Again, you're born into this vibration. You don't really see yourself. I don't see myself as an angry person. My mom doesn't see herself as a panicked person. But that's what happens when she goes under stress. Okay, so
how do you bring down, and maybe I can just hold off my questions until you're done with all the personalities. I'll write this question down. Keep going.
Okay. Well, I think, let me just ask you, were you going to ask how to bring down the panic?
Yeah, because I know how, as a life coach, I know how to bring down panic. But yes. I'm not necessarily going, oh, you're wood or you're water. How do I present this to you? I intuitively know how to talk to the person and talk them off the cliff so much, so to speak.
Yes, we have great techniques to bring down the panic. You know what, Lillian? Let's go through the elements and then I'll teach some of the techniques, shall I? Okay, great. All right, so the next one, I know I breezed through. So
you've done wood. You did
water, wood, and fire.
You did water, wood, fire, and you did a little bit of earth.
Okay, so we're going to earth now. So earth people, oh my gosh, they're the peacekeepers. People also like to have earth surround. because they're always bringing in the peace, making things fair. They love to bring groups together. They love to welcome people in. Oh, I could do a whole show on what the homes look like of each of the elements. And the earth home is so cozy. They have lots of pillows. There's always a tea kettle on or hot chocolate. There's always something baking in the oven. They have lots of snacks, lots of food. Earths like food a lot. They like comfort food, anything that is comforting. Earths are really great as mediators. You know, every element is going to shine in a different career. And for the earths, it's a mediator. They're really good as preschool teachers. They're really great as camp counselors. Earths and fires are good camp counselors. Fires bring in the joy and the celebration, and earths are helping everyone to learn how to get along. Their governing organs are the stomach and the spleen. The stomach and the spleen, and their governing emotion when they go under stress is over worry. Worry, 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 worry. Worry about everything. Worry about people. Worry about what's going to happen in the world. Worry about themselves. Worry about their kid walking out the door and what's going to happen. It's worry, 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 worry. So you can imagine, you might say, oh, worry doesn't sound like that big of a deal. We all get worried. No. But when you are a strong earth and that worry kicks in, it can really become imbalanced. And so you are the worried, lecturing parent who's nagging, and these behaviors come out because you're so worried about your kid. So you want to keep your elements in balance, so you don't go to that place. All right, we did the organs, we did the emotion. Talked about earth a little bit, their body type. Oh, that's right. I have to mention the fire body type too. So fire body type, I'll go back for a minute. It's usually pretty, I wouldn't say thin, but they don't hold a lot of weight. Fires have heaps and heaps of extra energy. And so they're often burning it up, running it around, and they find sports and physical activity pretty easy to do. Earth, as I said earlier, I did touch on it a little bit, hourglass of a figure. They hold on to weight a little bit more. Look at their governing organs, spleen and stomach. Stomach is, you know, they're going to probably show some extra weight around the hips and the stomach. All right, shall I move on to metal?
Absolutely, let's do
the
metal.
last organ, the last element in the wheel and its organs are the lungs and the large intestine. Now, I've gone through all the elements now, and I sort of breezed through the organs, but you want to start really thinking about them, and I'll give you a clue with the metal element. So I just said the organs are lungs and large intestine. So what do the lungs and the large intestine do? You start thinking about the organs. They release. The lungs release the breath. Every day, many, 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 many times a day, the large intestine, or colon, as some people know it, releases waste. It is one of the life lessons of a metal element person to release and let go, and do it gracefully and do it with compassion. Metals tend to isolate themselves. Metals tend to go off alone. They often work alone. They often play alone. It's a metal job to bring themselves back to the fold, bring themselves to the land of the living. And so you want to start looking at the organs in that way. Their overriding emotion is grief. They feel grief in life. A sort of sadness. It's similar to sadness, although they don't dip down into the sadness like a water can. A water can really go deep into the sadness, almost a depression or a full-fledged depression, whereas a metal just sort of has this this layer, I would say, of grief that often follows them through life. Their body type is often tall, thin. If they aren't tall, they often look tall. You can for sure have a short metal. You can, but it's interesting. When you walk up to them, you'll think, wow, I thought they were taller. Their legs are long. Their neck is long. They're lithe in their body. So the metal element is a person who is usually a bit more still. They don't have as much to say, or they have a lot to say, but they're keeping it in, they're observing, they're listening. They sort of float into the room, listen to people, and float out alone. They aren't big party goers. They aren't going to go on the cruise ship like the fires are. They're going to stay home and maybe have a staycation and work on their finances. So two of the elements, I'll give you some similarities now since I've gone through all. A lot of people will say, when they start to get to know the elements, wow, wood and metal are sort of similar. Well, they are and they aren't. Wood and metal are similar in that they're the most pragmatic of the elements. They don't rely as much on their feelings to tell them how to view the world. They're methodical, they're looking at evidence, they're looking at life, they're gathering information, and they're going forward with that information in a pretty fast and bold way. If you're in relationship with a wood, good luck keeping up with them. A metal is also pragmatic, also methodical, also gathering evidence, but they enter life very differently than a wood. A wood walks into the room and everybody knows it. They're either talking or their boots are clamping on the floor and you can hear them marching around. A metal is much more silent. You might not even know they're there. And remember, a metal doesn't lead through anger. A wood leads through anger. That can feel kind of aggressive to people. Even if a wood isn't speaking up, my sister says, I have a wood look in my eye. I have the eye that looks at people and they know I'm mad. She says, I have the wood voice, the angry voice. A metal, no. Their voice is almost a whisper. I have a story, Lillian, real fast. So when I was little, this will give you the difference between a wood and a metal. I had a man in my life who was like my uncle, and I had my dad, very close with both of them. And there was a girl who was treating me poorly. She was bullying me and almost, well, sort of abusive. It was interesting to me, even at my young age of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, to see how my dad and this man who was like my uncle, how they handled that situation so differently. My dad was furious, through the roof. This kid is going to kill my daughter. God damn it. That was my dad. Sorry for the foul word. That was my dad. And he was very loud about it. We cannot have this. She cannot come over to play anymore. The man who was like my uncle was a metal. So my dad was a wood. The man who was like my uncle was a metal. And he'd whisper and talk softly. This shouldn't be happening. This is not good. We need to separate them. Let's think about how we're going to handle this. Let's talk to the girls. Totally different. Yeah. Another similarity is earth and fire. The earths and the fires are similar because they both love people. Out of all 5 elements, earths and fires really love people. Woods sometimes don't love people. But earth and fire, they want to be around people. And I'll give you a hint. If you have a fire or an earth in your life, if they're your lover or your husband or your wife or your kid, do not isolate them from people. Do not ever let that be a punishment. Do not ever get jealous. Don't let yourself get jealous. Waters can go to jealousy. Don't let yourself get jealous if your fire boyfriend or your fire girlfriend wants to be around other people, this feeds them. It has nothing to do with you. It's not against you. It doesn't mean they don't like you. They need to be around other people. It's going to make them a better partner to you. So those are two of the big similarities, fire and earth and wood and metal. And okay, Lillian, what else? I've been talking a lot.
Well, no, this is very interesting. I love it because it's a nice refresher for me as well. What are some of the personalities when it comes to relationships that work best together?
Oh, that's such a good question. So there are definitely elements that feed each other. Excuse me. So waters really feed woods. It's such a great combination, whether you're in a relationship together of love and romance or in work. And I'll tell you why. If you're watching this right now and you're a viewer and you're a boss or a manager or a coach, put your waters and woods together, because waters, they're the deep thinkers. They come up with the best ideas. Every TV show was thought up by a water. Every blockbuster movie was thought up by a water. Every jingle that you hear on the radio that's for some great brand was thought up by a water. Who put it into motion? The wood. The water thought it up and then sat with it and said, wow, this would be really great if I could get this out there. And the wood said, oh, you can. And I'll do it for you. And it'll happen yesterday.
I know how to do it already. I got it all figured out. Here's my flow chart.
Exactly. So they are a great duo together because you have the waters thinking up the great ideas, the woods putting them forward. So there are others. Wood really feeds fire. Fires are all over the place. They're scattered. They're often like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where that is. I just had my keys. Now I don't have my keys. What appointment did I miss? What? I was supposed to be there 10 minutes ago. Oh my gosh. The wood can straighten all of that out. The wood can help the fire to see, here's your schedule. Here it is written down. You write it down, Miss Fire. You write it down. Put it in your book. Here's an alarm. You can put this alarm on your phone. They're going to keep the fire on track. Another thing a fire does is they tend to interrupt people. Now, they don't see it as interrupting. They see it as
adding value.
Yeah, I'm a part of the conversation.
You get me.
Yes, exactly. Hey, I'm just with you. I'm with you. I see you. But they're interrupting everybody, and then they can't even remember what they interrupted with. They can't remember what they said. The wood says, I remember what you said. This is what you said. This is where you're going. Now continue.
No, the wood is saying, don't interrupt me. If you interrupt me one more time, I'm walking out. That's what
that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Oh my gosh. Woods do not like to be interrupted.
No, not at all.
Okay, so then fires feed earth. It's such a no-brainer. Fires love people, earth love people. They're going to feed each other with that warmth, with that joy, with that happiness. Earths want to feel good, and fires can make them feel good. And then earths feed metal. So one of the metal challenges, as I said earlier, is that they tend to isolate. They tend to go off on their own. And then they find themselves a year or two down the road and they aren't even really understanding people anymore. Well, the earth can bring them back to the fold. And earth is so good at building groups of people, building friendships. And earths not only are good at building friendships and groups, but they're really good at making it feel gentle and safe. And so they do that for the metal. They do that for the metal person, and they bring in that warmth where it feels good. So those are the elements that can really feed each other.
Well, I know this is great. And I know some of you have questions, or whoever has questions, type in a Q, write your question down. I want to remind you that this is all in a handy dandy book written by Dondi Dahlin. And I should call her Dondi Darling because she is so lovable. And so the 5 elements, you can text me at 407-373-5959. Put your name in the winner's basket. Next Friday, I will pick out the winner out of one person out of the winner's basket, and then Dondi will send you your book. This is an amazing opportunity for you to not just judge who other people are, but who you are as well. And look, and not, I would say not judge, to use this as a tool to create what you want to create in life. And so that's what I'm saying, because, you know, in the classroom, what we focus on is what we have in common, how to help each other, how to lift each other up. And so go to whenyouneedafriend.com, because the buck stops here. This is where we take 100% responsibility. So go to whenyouneedafriend.com while you're there. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and like me and follow me on all social media. If you are a subscriber, you already have all the information for Dondi. You even have the information for her book as well. I believe that if not, the link is below. We're also going to put a link in the video for you to take your test, because there is an awareness test that you can take with at the learnthefiveelements.com. But I will tell you that in just a minute. I want you to go there to whenyouneedafriend.com. Please support the classroom by supporting our sponsors, support them, how they're supporting the classroom. We have a lot of events happening. On April 21st, we have the I Am the Solution workshop. It's a virtual workshop. We've had people from all over the world attend the weekend. It's the 21st through the 23rd. So please, if you're considering personal growth, this is a way to get shot out of a cannon and really fall in love with yourself and get to know yourself in a curious way instead of a critical way. And so I want to encourage you to go to my Shop Now bag, or to any of the do-it-yourself. Like, for example, if you are I think it's water that has gallbladder issues bladder issues. Which one's the one that has the gallbladder issues?
Wood has gallbladder
issues. If you're a wood, we have a gallbladder cleanse that is to live for. So go check it out. We have lots of do-it-yourself workshops that we've put out there. If you weren't able to join us live, they're out there for you to join us, you know, whenever it is convenient for you. So go to the Shop Now bag and check out the workshop tab, the workshop tab, and then check out all the workshops that we have that will help you heal your body as naturally as possible. You can go to the Shop Now bag. In the Shop Now bag, we have products that are from head to toe that will help you grow. So check them out. And also, last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. As you know, we don't have a lot of sponsors because it's by design. I want to make sure that I have the freedom to say what I want to say and not be censored, as they're doing in social media and in the world. So you, my listening and viewing friend, I need for you to share this video, share the podcast, wherever you're listening, share it with your friends, with all those who you love. And maybe this show today, or class, could help you start a conversation with those you love and figure out a win-win and how to approach a situation. Now, you as an enrolled student in the classroom, you can donate $1 or $1,000 a month, a one-time donation or recurring donation, whatever you can do, whether it's your time, your talent, your treasure. Please consider donating to the classroom to help us grow. Today, we have Dondi Dahlin. We are giving away one of her books, The 5 Elements. I've had this book for a while and I love it. And you can go to learnthefiveelements.com. And Robert, if you can post the link on the comment section, that way people can take the test right away, because sometimes it takes me a while to put it in the comment section. But let me see if I have any questions. So you need to type in a Q if you have a question for Dondi, because I want to make sure that I don't just do the read the comments. So, okay. So now I want to go back, because every single one, I could see myself in every single one of those elements. I could also see my shadow side and every single one of those elements, and depending on where I'm at. Because I've done the work that I've done, I recover a little faster than I used to when I was younger. Like when you're talking about flying off the handle, and I never was like that. But fear was how I was raised, and fear was the driver in my life for many years until I started really to look at myself. So my question is for you, because you're talking about these types as if this is who they are. But people say to me all the time, this is who I am. And I say, no, that's what you do. Who you are can change. Can these elements change as a person matures or gets to know their style, their love language, all those things? Can they change as they grow?
Such a good question. This is how I would answer it. I would say that you don't change elements, but you evolve in your elements. So like you, Lillian, you do a lot of deep inner work. It's your whole life really, figuring out humanity and becoming the best person you can be, the most compassionate, the kindest person you can be. That right there is going to evolve your elements. It's going to balance your elements.
Okay.
So they're going to come together and be able to work together better. Some of the people who I see really, really, really struggle are the people who are really locked into their primary element, and they aren't allowing the other elements to come in. They aren't dancing with metal and earth and fire. They're like, I'm a wood, that's it. This is who I am. That's it. And if you dance with all the elements, you're going to evolve your elements and become more balanced. But usually you don't see a person change elements. What they're born into is what they are working with in life. It's their life lesson.
Wow, there's so much. I mean, every time you come on, I go, okay, we need to have part 2 of this because we need to build on this. But again, Dondi is so generous. She's giving away one of her books, The 5 Elements. And so text me at 407-373-5959, or you can email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. Your name will be put into the winner's basket, and next Friday, the name will be drawn, and whoever the winner is, Dondi will send a book to them. Now, before we go, because we only have about 2 minutes left in the classroom, and so if somebody were to walk in right now, what would you say is the most important aspect or aspect of the system of the 5 elements?
I think the most brilliant aspect of the 5 elements is that it gives you compassion for you, for yourself, for your journey. You don't beat yourself up anymore. You don't doubt yourself. You accept yourself unapologetically, and it does the same thing for you and other people. You're also compassionate to them and the way that they go through life. So compassion is the biggest for yourself and for others, which makes all of life more beautiful. If you have that compassion for yourself and for others, you don't have the fear, you don't have the anger, you don't seep into the depression. If you can crack open compassion in the deepest, realest, and most genuine way, which is what this system does.
I love it. I love it. I'm so grateful that you have just immersed yourself in getting to know all this. Now you're going to be going to Australia pretty soon. You want to share a little bit about that?
Thank you. I'm speaking and teaching at Mind Heart Connect in Melbourne, Australia, and that is the last weekend of April. So you can go to that website, mindheartconnect.com, and they have virtual passes. If you aren't in Australia, you can get a virtual pass. We have keynote speakers. I'll be one of the keynoters and teachers. And if you're in Melbourne, or as they say, Melbourne, come on down.
When you said you were going to Melbourne, I thought Florida. I'd love to have you here in Melbourne, Florida. Maybe we can create something in the future. Dondi Dahlin, I just absolutely adore you. I think you're the best. Wood and water alike. you are, the wood floats on water, so that's pretty good. That's
Yes.
pretty good. It's like rock, paper, scissors. Can we do that with the 5 elements? Anyway, thank you so much. You can go to learnthefiveelements.com. We're going to put the link below. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dondi Dahlin wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Love you. Let me check this stuff here.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
I would love to, we're still on the air, but I would love to have a follow-up as soon as you can, because I know you're really busy, about how to alleviate the panic, the fear, the ease on these different elements. I think that would be a really powerful.
I would love it. We didn't get to the techniques. I have a technique for every emotion, and they're so great because they immediately help the nervous system relax, the amygdala relax. So I'd love to go into that. Would love it.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Stay tuned, everybody, because Dondi Dahlin is coming back. We're going to have part 2 to this class because there's a lot to learn when it comes to the elements. But there are courses that you have on your website, right? There's different ways you can get the book,
Yes.
and there are different ways that you can practice so that you can learn a new tool to get along in the world even better. Leave the world a better place than where you found it. So thank you so much, Dondi, for being in the classroom today. Don't go away, because we're going to figure out what we can do as far as in the future to have you back as soon as possible. And for those of you that are watching today, or well, this is not going to be heard in the podcast world, this part, because it's not going to be aired. But for those of you who want to learn more, there's going to be linked. We're going to put a link for Dondi's site so that you can take the test and you can learn a little bit more about your personality type. So check it out later, because I'll add it there. So Dondi, thank you so much for everything that you do to make the world a peaceful place.
Thank you, Lillian. And thank you to all the viewers.
Yes. And thank you so much for watching today. We will see you tomorrow.